Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In today's episode, we are going to discuss the debate last night. If you were able to join us online, I actually streamed the debate live. And remember, I told you, I believe the mainstream media is going to spin this. I believe it was a clear victory for JD Vance. He was very poised. He even gave pushback to the two moderators of the debate after they said they were not going to fact check anyone, and they actually fact checked JD Vance. So he came back with another fact check to disclaim or discredit their fact check. Okay, so I believe JD Vance, of course, it was a clear victory for JD Vance, but of course the liberal mainstream media has to spin it in such a way that Tim Walz is such a great guy. He was poised. It was like the American dad. It's a guy that you want to grab a beer with, I guess. I don't think I will be grabbing a beer with JD Vance, but I mean, not JD Vance, but Tim Walz. But anyway, that's what they're trying to portray. Okay, so we'll discuss a little bit about that today. Also, Kamala Harris, she actually gave a response from the Iran strike. We're going to talk about that a little bit. I know I touched on that last night, but I want to touch on it a little bit more again. And also Sean Diddy Combs, there's a lot more victims that came out. Actually, a group is, taking on about 120 something odd cases from these alleged assault suffered from the hands of Sean Puffy Combs and other people at these so-called freak parties. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Depending on our time, I might touch on Kamala Harris again, but it all depends on how we're going with the time. Okay, so you guys make sure you stay tuned for another episode of Business Talk. Like this. Looks a little bit like I can miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. That's right. You guys always put in the chat and let me know where you're viewing from. I want to spend a special time right now to send our condolences out to the victims of the Hurricane Helena. I believe they're saying it's about 120 something odd people that lost their lives because of this natural disaster. So we're going to send our prayers and condolences to these people. Now let's see who we have in the building. I see we have Justin Thompson in the building. Thank you for tuning in, Justin. I saw you online this morning. You guys, if you are online or if you are driving in your car, at work, and you're able to tune in to my other show, it's called Unpopular Opinion with Super Producer. We go live Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays between the hours of 9 and 9:30. We last about an hour. It all depends on how long-winded we are. But we're trying to, matter of fact, get a schedule down and get me and Super Producer get our, what works for this particular show. But it's on my other channel. It's Chawanne Burns 2.0, and that podcast is Unpopular Opinion, and it is live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday between the hours of 9 and 9:30. It lasts about an hour. So if you are able to tune in, I would greatly appreciate that. Okay, Justin Thompson, thank you. Hello, Anger Mismanagement. Tuning in from Gary, Indiana. Thank you for tuning in. I see we have Celeste Hodges in the building. Hello from Texas. Lexi, hello to you. It's always good to see you guys. And hello to all the ones that's out there viewing on X and on my other platforms. Yuck is tuning in from Kansas City, Missouri. I really appreciate every single last one of you. So I just want to share with you. Remember, I sent, our condolences to the people out there. Now, I think this is a small story and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I think social media is making people brains warped. Okay. Same with the Diddy, the process of us or people trying to be so obsessed with fame and stardom. I think it's really warping people's brain. I don't think people know what it is, what's important in life anymore. They're just so obsessed with, being the first one to break this story or be the first one to do this type of thing. So I want to share this with you. This guy thought it was, I guess, a good thing. He's an influencer and he live streamed himself camping in a tent during the Hurricane Helene. It wasn't just a dumb stunt. This is what he's saying. Okay. He live streamed during this hurricane. And at one point he was trying to call out for help and his tent or his campground were engulfed in flames. So I'm just going to play a little snippet for you. It's like a 30-second or 50-second clip. And you guys put in the chat, make sure that you could hear this. Just put a thumbs up or something like that.
Hurricane outside in the hurricane. You feel what I'm saying? It was a nice run, GG, Shaq. It's my last stream. I'll kick last stream. I'm going out with a bang. You don't understand me. It's flooding. Help! 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 No! 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 Okay. This is kind of fun. Hold on, chat. I'm lucky. Turn the up. Cash. Hold on.
I think it's stupid and I think it's dangerous for people to do this kind of stuff. And then not only to do this kind of, I guess, to get people to, what am I getting at? To get people to tune into your stream. You're going to film outside in a hurricane and potentially danger yourself. And it's like a slap in the face because some people probably really needed help and you're out there acting like it's funny. It's all fun and games till somebody get hurt. And I think that's why social media, sometimes social media, or I believe social media has gotten to a point where, some people are doing things that, a normal person wouldn't do. It's like their morals are all skewed, or people don't even have any morals because they're going outside and streaming this kind of stuff. I just want to go back to that stream because they had a little snippet on here. Let me share this tab. It says this influencer, his name is Mike Smalls, and I guess he does bizarre type of stunts, just like he's like a jackass. It was originally posted on the platform Kick Footage. They said jackass style stunt is currently blowing up across X. And I knew some may find shocking, entertainment, dumb, comical, or even off-putting. He's a 26-year-old Tampa resident told from Jam Press, I don't know. The Darwin Award candidate frequently films himself performing outrageous and harebrained features, including trolling people at McDonald's and on college campuses. Now, remember, we could talk about that one kid that actually ended up getting shot by a person that was delivering food because he kept on harassing people. He was one of those streamers like this guy. And it says Smalls attempt to brave a Category 4 storm, which battered the Gulf Coast last week, leaving more than 160 people dead across 6 states, including Florida. This makes Helene the second most deadliest hurricane to plumb on the mainland. And you know what? I don't think it's nothing wrong to be like goofy and silly, if that's your take. But this kind of stuff, I think is stupid. Now, if he had camera people with him, I'm assuming people was up here, up filming with him. But it's like, so you're endangering the lives of the people that work with you. And then also you're going to endanger the lives of yourself. And then potentially, if you had to call for help, you're going to endanger the lives of the people that are going to risk their lives because you endangered your life. That's why I think it's really ridiculous and really stupid. I've always liked the storm growing up. So the idea of storm chasing really appealed to me. You're not storm chasing. You're just being an idiot. The live streamer explained, and I'm always looking for ways to increase my viewership just like another creator. You sound stupid. And so I'm going out with a bang, declares the Floridian, while huddled in his tent and buffeted by the howling gale. Many gave him props. This is why I don't like it, because you have kids watching them like, oh, I want to grow up and be just like Jackass Smalls, Mike Smalls. I want to grow up to be just like him. And he does not contribute nothing to society. He doesn't. Nothing to society. All he contributes to society is maybe, entertainment. But it's not really entertainment at this point. It's nothing funny about what you're doing. You're not a comedian or anything like that. You're just, I'm just going out in the hood and filming myself during this hurricane where everybody else should be evacuated, or everybody should be evacuated. Anyway. Like I said, I think social media has kind of warped people's brain and becoming famous. So this leads me to the Puff Daddy story. People want to become so famous that they're even willing to, or their kids to be famous. They're willing to, prostitute your kids so they can become famous. You're giving up your child so they could become famous. Now, whether you know this Sean Diddy Combs was a predator or not, but I'm pretty sure you heard rumors about it. Or you're not being a good parent because you just left your kids with Sean Diddy Combs. And the reason why I'm saying this is because this recent lawsuits that these lawyers had a press conference, they're claiming that 120 victims, and 25 of those victims were children. Okay? These were children that Sean Diddy Combs had access to. And some as young as 9 years old.
Kamala Harris stands unequivocally with Israel. She always has, and as president, she always will.
Let me share this tab with you. Now, we played some of this during my our live stream this morning on my other channel, but I'm going to skip some of the unimportant parts. But I just want you guys to listen to some of these charges that's being brought up against Sean Diddy Combs. And I'm saying charges, this is allegations. This is a civil suit, okay? This man is, this lawyer is charging each allegation separately in whatever state it happened in, okay? So he's taken on these cases, but it's not a class action lawsuit. You guys put in the chat, I want to make sure you could hear the volume. Let me just try to turn it up. Hold on for a second.
Involved. And we're going to follow this evidence wherever it takes us. We will find the silent accomplices. We will expose
Can you hear that?
with people claiming to have been victimized by Sean Combs. After vetting, we now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file these individual cases. And you should know, to the extent the clients feel comfortable, we also intend to make these individuals available to the authorities, specifically to the FBI. And you should also know a few of them have already been spoken to by the FBI. Now, before we discuss the nature of the claims and claimants themselves, let me comment on the large volume of calls we have received since our first announcement. Even before the indictment of Sean Combs, we had received a small volume of calls and had screened a handful of cases. After the indictment of Sean Combs and the announcement that we were pursuing these claims, the floodgates opened. People who wouldn't otherwise, for a variety of reasons, are now stepping forward to make their voices heard and to pursue justice. But no, most of these people are scared. They fear backlash in their communities. They fear backlash in their own families. They are afraid of retaliation from the perpetrators and their associates. They are rightly afraid for their own personal safety. I expect that through this process, many powerful people will be exposed. Many dirty secrets will be revealed. We know what we are potentially up against. And as is always the case in situations like this, when a celebrity is involved, people can be downright mean and nasty. You would be shocked at the length fans will go, no matter the evidence to the contrary, to defend celebrities they love. I mean, there's a reason for this word fans. They're fanatics. I've personally already been threatened multiple times on social media. And when I agreed to pursue this, I expected as much. This isn't my first rodeo. But victims who step forward to have their voices heard should not be subjected to that kind of conduct. They should not be targeted. I want to say this, and I want to be clear about it. Although we are vetting each call as stringently as we can, I always start with a mindset that I believe victims.
No offense, but it
So he believes the victims first. And I guess that's a good mindset to have. But they received a lot of calls. And of course, you know, being a lawyer, you got to do your due diligence to make sure these claims are not frivolous. And, you know, you have, you want to do your clients justice. So you just don't want to take on their case if you can't prove it in court. You don't want to give them hope of, yeah, you know, we'll take on your claim. And if the attorney for Puff Daddy finds out like it's one frivolous claim, they're going to try to dispute all the claims. So, of course, they want to make sure they could corroborate these claims and have, you know, some actual evidence to back up their claim.
Victims, because I understand the tremendous courage it takes to step forward. So if you're watching this, please hear me. If you're out there and you have been victimized, you are not alone. There is a great strength in numbers. You can seek redress. You can obtain justice. We can help you, and we will help you. That being said, as stated, we are vetting every call that we receive. We have had to turn away some. For each, we ask for corroboration. For each, we ask for the identity of witnesses. We also have collected pictures, videos, texts. We check venues, we check dates. We want to corroborate that the claims being made have legitimacy and merit. We have on staff now a former detective from the Major Offenders Unit of Houston Police Department who is helping us vet each claim. We're using our common sense. We're being stringent because, as I said, these are not easy cases. They're very tough. The process is hard, and in some cases, the process is very lengthy. These cases are hard to prove. Many times, it's the victim's word against the alleged perpetrator. Each of these victims will no doubt be publicly attacked by the alleged perpetrators, and in some cases, the general public. The feckless and cowardly keyboard warriors love to attack. We know what we're up against. We did not enter this fray blindly. I wish it was my last such fray. I wish this type of behavior wasn't so pervasive, but it is what it is, so we will press on. As I said, our law firms have been retained by 120 individuals at this point to pursue cases in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs. You should know, in this group, it is evenly divided between males and females. There are 60 males and 60 females who have joined us to pursue these claims as plaintiffs. In this group, 62% identify as African American, 30% are white, and the remainder are Hispanic or Asian. The victims are from more than 25 states. The majority are from California, New York, Georgia, and Florida. I don't want to focus on the ages of these victims. When we talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred, it's shocking. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15. 25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of. The time frame of the acts complained of is very wide. The conduct at issue spans from the years 1991 all the way till this year, 2024. If you wonder why there are so many alleged victims, that's your answer. We're talking about more than 25 years of this type of conduct. Now, although most of the victims who have stepped forward were victimized after 2015, this has been going on for a very long time. Now, when you think about the fact that some of this conduct occurred 25 years ago, and you wonder why would it take somebody so long to step forward. I want to remind you that many states in the United States have recognized that it's very difficult for a victim to step forward and to make these types of allegations when something very terrible has happened to them. I'll use New York, the state of New York, as an example. The state of New York has specific statutes in place that revive claims that are even claims that would typically be not able to be brought, that it revives such claims, and they can be brought even 25 to 30 years later. Because there's a recognition there in New York and California and other states that it's very difficult for a victim to come forward. And I would respectfully suggest the only reason many of these people are coming forward because they see other victims coming forward. And it gives them some comfort that, hey, I won't be the only one. And I expect more victims will come forward. You know, there's an old saying, it says, a lie has great speed, but truth has endurance. The acts complained of in these cases that we're going to file occurred primarily in New York, either Manhattan or the Hamptons, or occurred in California, primarily in Los Angeles, or in Florida, primarily in Miami. Most of these events and incidents occurred at parties, typically after parties, or album release parties, New Year's Eve parties, 4th of July parties, something they called a puppy party, the all-white party.
A puppy party. Just imagine, what the hell is a puppy party? You act like a dog? Or are they referring to kids? Puppies? Disgusting. Just imagine you're thinking like, oh, I'm going to meet all these famous people, and then you go in and they started assaulting you. Your dream, your career rapper or dream rapper or whatever, or artist that you totally love, they invite you to a party and you get assaulted.
Although several of these events occurred at auditions, many times, especially young people wanting to break into the industry, were coerced into this type of conduct in the promise of being made a star, or in the promise of having Sean Combs listen to their tape or even let them read for Sean Combs. You should know that some of this behavior occurred at well-known venues in New York City. Some of this behavior occurred at private residences of people that we all know. Some of this behavior occurred at hotels that we're all familiar with.
Anyone with $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans may qualify for help from National Debt Relief.
You should know that more than 55% of the victims reported this conduct to either the authorities, that is the police, or to hospitals. We're in the process of collecting with our team assistants, medical records, reports that were made to the authorities. And I've already said that some of the individuals in this group did in fact talk to the FBI. You should know that several of the individuals, and when I say several, I mean many, who did in fact seek medical treatment were drug tested, and drugs were found in their system, weird drugs that you probably never heard of. One in particular that continues to pop up is a drug called xylazine, or trank, which based on our research is known as a horse tranquilizer. Now, there's been a lot of reports that we're filing a class action. This is not a class action. Class action is when one or two people file a case on behalf of a group of people. That's not this. These cases will be individual cases. Each case will live and die on its own merit. These cases will be filed individually, one plaintiff against whoever the defendants were involved in the case. Each case may be filed in one venue like California, another case may be filed in New York. One case may sue just Sean Combs, but multiple other people. One case may sue a range of people. I would expect most, though, to be filed, as I said, in New York and Los Angeles. Now, I know this. Many of you came here thinking or hoping, or perhaps believing that I may start naming names. Well, that day will come, but it won't be today. The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you. These are individual cases. There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are. And I'm talking here about not just the cowardly but complicit bystanders. That is, those people that we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing. And I'm talking about the people that participated, encouraged it, egged it on. They know who they are. I call them the facilitators of foul play, willing participants in vile conduct. As we identify them, each will be part of this case as defendants. These defendants will not only include individuals, but would also include corporate entities who ultimately profited off of this culture and behavior. I'm looking at banks, pharmaceutical companies, hotels. We know that many of these individuals were paid cash. We know that many of these individuals involved, whether they were the ones being assaulted and abused or they're witnessing other people being assaulted and abused and then paid and threatened and told to leave. Typically paid 10 grand in cash and told to leave. And then threatened as they were leaving. So in addition to Sean Combs, you should know the defendants in these cases we're going to file will include anyone, of course, who engaged in the assault or exploitation, anyone who participated in such in any way, anyone who encouraged or facilitated this conduct, anyone who was in the room and watched it happen but made no effort to stop it, any venue or venue owner who was aware of what was going on but failed to stop it, any individual or entity who knew about the conduct and benefited from it but did nothing to report it or stop it, and any individual or entity who covered it up or helped cover it up. These people who know who they are should just come forward now. I would imagine, as we speak here, there are a myriad of people who are very nervous. You can't hide skeletons in the closet forever. I would expect there are many people out there right now who are desperately searching their memories as they delete their texts and data. Now, although these are, in fact, individual cases, there is a common theme, an MO, if you will. Typically, the victim is lured into a situation where he or she is given a drink. Typically, that drink, reported by these victims, is apparently laced with something. Once that drink takes effect, the perpetrators perform all kinds of sexual acts on the victims, many times passing him or her around as other people watch and enjoy the show, and then leave the victim ashamed, confused, injured, and wondering what happened. When the victim reaches out, he or she is told not to say anything. Sometimes there are threats of physical violence or financial repercussions or bodily harm.
You don't always know.
Just to recap, he said he's going after the drug companies also. Now, if you go back to when Sean Puffy Combs was raided with by the Homeland Security, and even his indictment, they talked about this drug cocktail that was mixed with like ketamine, cocaine, or some type of habituate or some type of drug. But anyway, it was a cocktail. And, you know, I guess if you really think about it, if you're having parties maybe every weekend or every other weekend, and there's hundreds of people there, how are you actually supplying the drugs? Now, you can get it from I guess a drug dealer, but since Sean Combs, he's pretty much up there, he probably had access to maybe a doctor who was supplying him these drugs. So, I mean, I think, you know, I'm going to continue this, but I believe Sean Combs, he probably will not see the light of day if they actually take him to trial. Or he might just do a plea deal. And that's if he actually makes it out of jail or makes it to trial, because they might, you know what I'm saying, unalive him in jail, depending on what type of information they have on other people or what type of information he has on other people. If Sean Combs, now they said I guess he will be a drug addict if he's taking the drugs as well. But if Sean Combs was, inebriated and taking drugs during all these wild parties, can he remember some of the stuff that he was doing? If you're on drugs, do you remember everything? Probably not. So I guess he will probably have to go back to revisit the video or view the video that he taped. This is sick.
Violent sexual assault or rape, sexual abuse, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, false imprisonment, compelling prostitution, sexual misconduct, dissemination of video recordings, false imprisonment, sexual abuse of minors. Given the large volume of cases and given our other docket obligations, and given the fact that we want to be sure when we file these cases that they are fully vetted, I expect we'll start filing these cases against Sean Combs and other perpetrators within the next 30 days. Now, it's rare, sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, this type of activity is pervasive in our society, and it's rare we get a chance where we can really focus on this as a country and really focus on this about how pervasive this is and what we as collectively can do about it. So I thought I'd take this opportunity before I go into some of the individual cases and talk about some of the individual claims being made and so you'll get a sense of what this 120 people group looks like individually. I want to bring forward Carrie Paul. She's a national victim advocate who helps victims who have been victimized by this type of conduct. And she has some important words, and I hope you'll pay close attention.
So I'm going to fast forward from this part and get to when he gets to the little or the details of what the allegations were. This is kind of jaw-dropping. This is actually my second time or third time viewing this, and I hear details that I haven't heard before. So it's kind of like me hearing for the first time, and it's kind of shocking. It's really disgusting how we have a people, and it's not just Sean Puffy Combs. We just want to get that out. It's not just him. It's a group of people that preyed on another group of people and say, oh, you want to get into this industry, we are going to use you and abuse you. And we're all going to watch. We're all going to watch and say, man, we got that. Probably high-fiving each other like, dang, why you do that girl like that? Or why do you do that boy like that? It's just a group of people. Let me just get to some of your comments while I'm doing that. Yuckfo too. I do not blame the people for waiting until Diddy was locked up. Yeah, I don't blame them either. I don't blame those people. They probably was fearful. And then you got to realize he's going to get into detail about some of the type of victims. Some of these victims was like nobody. Like one victim, they randomly went up to her. She walking on the street. Oh, you want to come to the Diddy party? And she was like, oh yeah. Sounds fun. Lexi, Diddy is a freaking monster. Yes, he is. Yuckfo too. Leonardo DiCaprio isn't good. Tom Hanks isn't good. Exactly. Leonardo DiCaprio, I seen a few pictures of him on the boat with Diddy. Partying up, whatever they was doing. Get noticed with Nicki. It's amazing that none of their friends are speaking up for him, like nobody, because they probably friends that actually contribute to this madness. Anyone that speaks out will be canceled quickly. They tried to cancel Cassie, even though she wasn't in the music industry, but they came at her like, oh, all she want, she's just trying to bring a black man down. All she want is money. And then after he settled, that video came out. Okay, red flag. You settled so nothing would come out. And then somebody still released his tape. They probably was trying to blackmail you maybe. And he said he wasn't paying. So they released this tape of her getting stumped out and dragged throughout the hotel. Donatello said, I would love to see Vance Donald tickets in on 2028. Yuck Fotu, they probably take ecstasy and cuddle with the puppies, then hopefully nothing else. These people are evil. Celeste says, I hope the people are getting therapy. It's going to get worse before it gets better, I guarantee. They have PTSD. I used to work with people who got hurt, and it's a long road. Yeah, it is. More money, more money, more money. You guys don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button and share this video. Kings on Live, the excitement for celeb is getting over, and they realize it too now. One thing I would like to know if there's some regrets on you know how you have these dreams to make it big or whatever you're trying to do, and you say, oh, if I could get this one chance and I can make it big, if somebody would just notice me and I can make it big. And looking at that hindsight, you know, them wanting that stardom or fame so much, hindsight, was it really worth it? You know, I don't think it was. Let me just fast forward this part to where he started talking about the victims.
This is our flippy. You can file these cases, these individual cases, under Jane Doe or John Doe. Each state is different in that respect. Typically, there is a balancing test, like the public's right to know the name of the victim and plaintiff versus the confidentiality and the safety of the plaintiff. So we'll have to struggle with that with each one of these cases. Our intention, of course, is to, like we always do, file these cases under a pseudonym until the court tells us otherwise. But let me share with you a few, just kind of give you a sense of the kind of cases and the kind of instances that people are calling and reporting that we are trying to corroborate, vet, and these are the ones that we've already corroborated, vetted, and collected evidence on. One individual who was 22 years at the time she was assaulted said that the typical MO at one of these parties that have been widely discussed in the press was that when you were handed a drink, and now we know that the drink is laced with something, if you refused to drink it, you were kicked out of the party. Now, let that sink in for a minute. I mean, the admission to this party was that you had to drink the chosen drink that was handed to you, and now we know that in most cases, I would say 90% of the cases, these individuals were drugged with some sort of drug. That was kind of the MO. Another instance, this individual who was 9 years old at the time was taken to an audition in New York City with Bad Boy Records. Other boys were there to audition as well. All of them were trying to land a record deal. All of them were minors. This individual was sexually abused, allegedly by Sean Combs and several other people at the studio in the promise to both his parents and to him himself of getting a record deal. Another instance, another minor, told allegedly by Sean Combs that he would make him a star, but he needed to visit with him in private about it, away from his parents. Once they were in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform oral sex upon him. Another incident, an individual 15 years old at the time flown to New York City to attend a party, was drugged, and then taken into a private room, allegedly in the presence of Mr. Combs, where this female individual, minor, was raped, and then other individuals took turns raping her. Another individual, 26 at the time of the occurrence, was picked up allegedly by Mr. Combs and several other people in a black SUV from the airport, was given one drink in the SUV, and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain and damage to both her vagina and her anus, where she then went to the hospital. She was missing her underwear and her shoes. Another instance, individual, this time not a minor, attended a group dinner, allegedly with Sean Combs in Miami. She wasn't drinking because she was pregnant, but whatever she drank at the table, apparently, at least according to her, was laced with something. She blacked out, and she woke up in the same bed, again, allegedly, with Mr. Combs in his mansion in Miami. Her vagina and her anus were torn and sore. And I could go on. I mean, literally, you're sensing a theme here. It's the same theme, and it all involves some sort of drug. One instance, an individual who was 20 years old at the time was asked to attend, just saw her on the street, asked to attend a party in a hotel. She was flattered, went to the party, was given one drink and doesn't remember anything else. Ultimately, was so messed up, went to the hospital where they found cocaine and this horse tranquilizer in her blood system. I want to give you a quote from a very young man who told us over the phone about his experience and all the things that happened to him. He says allegedly at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs and his friends in the effort to try to sign a record deal. This was kind of what he was told he would have to do. His quote is, "Had he not been in power, I feel like I could have been something great. I quit the industry because of what Sean Combs did to me." And that's really what it comes down to. We are pursuing this, asking you to support this effort, to encourage witnesses and victims to come forward and bring your evidence so we can continue to break down this wall of silence and we can continue to have these stories heard. This is the beginning of what I hope to be a national dialogue. This type of sexual assault, sexual abuse, and sexual exploitation should never happen in the United States or anywhere else. This should have never been allowed to go on for so long. This conduct has created a mass of individuals who are injured, scared, and scarred. If you are one of those individuals, we ask you to reach out. If not to us, to someone you trust. If you are someone who witnessed any of these events, we ask you to reach out. Your name can remain confidential. With that, I'll take a few questions, not many, maybe two, but if you have a question, I'll be pleased to try to answer it.
So this is like really shocking and disgusting. Diddy is a monster. We could say that. We already came to that conclusion. But his friends, the people that surrounded Diddy, protected Diddy, that did Diddy like that, they're monsters too. So, and I hope they get all of them. I hope all of them end up going to jail. And I hope they add these names to these co-conspirators in Diddy's RICO charge. Hopefully, all of them will be under the jail because we're talking about sexual abuse with minors. It's bad any way you look at it, it's bad, but we're talking about minors, a 9-year-old boy. It's disgusting. It's actually repulsive. Yuck Fotu, I brought my own and been kicked out then. I would have brought my own and been kicked out then, yeah. Omari, damn, this is sick. Yeah, it's some sick. Every time I did, like I said, this is like my third time hearing it. Second time going through the whole thing. But my third time, hearing that part, And I'm still repulsed by it. It's disgusting. Bernie book tour. Okay, but what about the 320,000 missing kids who crossed the border and are being trafficked by liberals? That's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. And he kind of alluded to that. He's saying this kind of stuff shouldn't happen in the United States, but it's been happening in the United States for the longest. And they're saying the reason why there's a lot of human trafficking, because we are the most consumers of human traffickers. Americans. We're like the hub of human trafficking. Exploiting children. Because we have too much freedom and we don't shame other people. Because they find these little back alley or dark corner groups and they find each other so they could commit assault against whoever their prey is. So Diddy is just like almost the tip of the iceberg. You see what they did to Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein probably knew a lot of high-powered people. So they got rid of him and they still haven't, they released his files, but you can't really read them because a lot of the stuff is redacted. A lot of it's redacted. But you know what name they left on there that we could read is Donald Trump. That was okay for them they didn't redact his name off of it. But when you go back to the court cases and they talked about, Donald Trump was at one of the parties. No, he wasn't involved in some of the sex scandals that he was just sitting there in the corner by himself. So, even though they tried to implicate Donald Trump and it didn't work, it backfired on them. People are more smarter than what liberal media and what the deep state wants you to believe. But we know it's deep. Not only Hollywood is deep within politics, politicians. I think we're going to find out the year of 2024 with Cat Williams. Cat Williams said all things will be revealed in 2024. And I believe he was not only talking about the black community. All things will be revealed. We're going to start finding out the truth. And people are going to be disgusted about the truth. The people that you hold dear to your heart and you say, oh, this is my leader. You're going to see the truth behind this so-called leader. Celeste asked Oprah. Oprah. I used to love Oprah. I don't hate her, but I used to love her, Oprah. But you got to wonder, because she had these girls, when I started doing my search about, human trafficking, Oprah had 2 girls' homes in Africa. And they said they had a propensity of these girls coming up missing. So they end up changing up staff and all that stuff. I guess it's not a problem now. But when she first opened that girls' school or the group home or whatever it was, they were having problems where the girls were coming up missing. Yuck fo too, there will be more missing kids from this hurricane too. Because they're displaced from their parents. Bernice is saying, I also asked if the liberals are pushing for the LGBT same-sex marriages where they're getting their babies from. They use these traffickers. Exactly. You okay? It's not a big deal. Okay? Just go upstairs and relax. Mommy will be up there in a minute. Sorry about that. My kids came in. I think you're gonna find out that this rabbit hole goes deeper than what we expected. Speaking of, I wouldn't just say the LGBTQ community. I think I showed you, or maybe it was on our other podcast, on my other podcast, where I showed this video where they were saying Hype Williams, when he did or produced some of these videos for these rappers, he will put a transgender into the video, and she will be like the main character of the video. So they was trying to push that on, I think, on the black community back in the day, to say, oh, it's okay to have a transgender. She looked just like a woman, I guess. And, something else happened, so they couldn't push that. I guess the beef between Tupac and Biggie got so big, they kind of pushed that agenda to the wayside, and then they pushed the beef and culture between hip hop artists. Oh, you got to be beefed out, or it's to make record sales. Anywho, like I said, I believe it's going to go deeper than what we expected, and we're going to be repulsed by it. Just like this press conference, I don't think some of us are going to be able to stomach it. Now, last year they did come out with a video, Sounds of Freedom. I believe you could get this on, I don't know if you could order it, but I think it's on Prime Video. But you guys want to take a look at that, Sounds of Freedom. It's based off of a true story where a guy worked for Homeland Security, and he busted a predator, and he went down this rabbit hole. Come to find out that it was deeper than what we expected. And these children were being taken from other countries and brought into the U.S. Sold as property, or rented as property. They had this private island where they sold the children into slavery. Oprah turned out to be what we least expected. Now I can't stand to look at her, or hear her voice. Never like Oprah, she hates black men. Graffiti is saying Flavor in Your Ear remix video is what they are saying the transgender appears in. Yeah. And the female that was in there, or the transgender that was in that video, she ended up being killed because I guess she had or they were trying to have relationships with her, and they found out they didn't know she was a transgender. So the guy ended up killing her. Forget what the lady's name is, Strawberry something. But they end up taking her life. Anyway, so you guys put in the chat, let me know if you feel who's the next in line. Who do you think Diddy, and he said these high-powered individuals. So who do you think they're talking about, or this lawyer was talking about when he said, oh, we know the names. Who do you think they are or were? I could name several names, but I mean, the list is endless because we're talking about the music industry. And Diddy, he was everywhere, in everybody music video. So it could be anybody. And I don't think it's just subject to black men. Some people are mentioning, why are why are there just news press conference against black individuals, like the 1-800 number. They're saying call out and reach out if you're a victim of Sean Puffy Combs. I think there's some truth to that. Like if you think about Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein, we didn't see that with them. We didn't see a press conference being held, hey, if you were a victim of Harvey Weinstein, reach out and call 1-800-7474. We didn't see that. So I don't know. Whatever it is pretty disgusting. Graffiti is saying, I wouldn't be surprised if Jay-Z name pops up. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised too. Some people are saying Jay-Z or Beyonce. I think Russell Simmons could be in there. Clive Davis. Whoever the Warner Brothers, Bad Boy Entertainment. I think they have is Rockefeller included in Bad Boy Entertainment? Who owns Bad Boy Entertainment? So, Revolt TV, whoever has to deal with that, those are the people they're going to blame. I would say they're people that were complacent and they were involved in abusing people. Okay, so I'm going to get to our next story, and this is Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, she just gave a talk, and this is just a quick story. I just want to go over this. She addressed the people. Excuse me. Let me see if my mic is working correctly. Can you hear me? Hopefully you can. She wanted to address the people in regards to the Iran strike. And she is saying that, they launched missiles, I think about 30 missiles against Israel. And what more can you say? Last night I mentioned that, basically the U.S. is funding Iran. We are literally funding Iran to attack other people.
As we monitored the attack, Iran launched approximately 200 ballistic
You guys put it in chat. Let me know if you can hear this.
reckless and brazen attack. I condemn this attack unequivocally. I'm clear-eyed. Iran is a destabilizing, dangerous force in the Middle East, and today's attack on Israel only further demonstrates that fact. Earlier today, I was in the Situation Room with President Biden and our national security team as we monitored the attack in real time and ensured that the protection of U.S. personnel in the region is paramount. I fully support President Biden's order for the U.S. military to shoot down Iranian missiles targeting Israel Israel, with our assistance, was able to defeat this attack. Our joint defenses have been effective, and this operation, successful cooperation, saved innocent lives. As I have said, I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself, save Iran and Iran-backed terrorist militias. My commitment to the security of Israel is unwavering. And let us be clear, Iran is not only a threat to Israel, Iran is also a threat to American personnel in the region, American interests, and innocent civilians across the region who suffer at the hands of Iran-based and backed terrorist proxies. We will never hesitate to take whatever action is necessary to defend U.S. forces and interests against Iran and Iran-backed terrorists. And we will continue to work with our allies and partners to disrupt Iran's aggressive behavior and hold them accountable.
Did you hear what she said at the beginning? I just it doesn't make sense. I don't know who wrote this speech for her, but it doesn't make sense.
So today, Iran launched approximately 200 ballistic missiles at Israel in a reckless and brazen attack. I condemn this attack unequivocally. I'm clear-eyed. Iran is a...
I condemn this attack unequivocally. I'm clear-eyed. What does that mean? You guys put in chat. Let me know what it means. I'm clear-eyed. You condemn the attack. Okay, I get that part. I'm clear-eyed. Then you go to say,
Iran is a destabilizing...
Iran is a destabilizing country.
Clear-eyed. Iran is a destabilizing, dangerous force in the Middle East, and today's attack on Israel only further demonstrates that fact.
I mean, I could say, okay, Iran was a destabilizing country, and you condemn the attack, but why in the hell would you fund them? Why in the hell would you fund them? If you go back, and I played this last night, you go back to my last video, this, I think her name is Irania or Irene Wexler. I wonder if she's akin to...
Everybody knows that the destabilization...
Is it John Wexler? What's Wexler's first name? Anyway, listen to this.
Everybody knows that the destabilization in the Middle East is being caused by Iran. But what many people don't know is that Iran is being funded by Joe Biden. Everyone knows about the $6 billion that Joe Biden unfroze, which he claimed was for 5 Iranian American hostages. But what if I told you that that number is more like 100 billion? Richard Goldberg at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies has done a great job uncovering the hidden money trail between the Biden administration and Iran. So let's go through these numbers. First, we have the $6 billion. Next, we have another $10 billion that Joe Biden unfroze, and those payments continue on a rolling basis. Then there were reports that Joe Biden would allow them to trade $7 billion for special drawing rights with the IMF. Then there's another $3 billion of funds held in escrow in Japan. And while Biden says that he made the mullahs pinky promise that they would only use these funds for humanitarian purposes, money is fungible. Now, are you ready for the real kicker? The Biden admin has uncapped Iranian oil exports. Under Trump, those levels were held to about 775,000 barrels per day. That is now conservatively estimated to be between 1.4 and 2.2 million barrels per day. And that oil is going to China. So that is an estimated $80 billion in oil revenues that Biden has given to Iran, leading us to a total of $100 billion of money from Biden to Iran. But it gets worse, because while Biden is allowing Iran to uncap their oil exports, he is kneecapping our own. He has been draining our strategic petroleum reserves since he took office, which are meant to be used for times of war, not winning elections. And he's pissed off all of our allies, including Saudi Arabia, so OPEC has extended their production cuts through halfway through 2024, likely longer. Oh, and that's right, Biden ended all oil leases in Alaska and signed the lowest number of offshore oil and gas leases in history. Biden is intentionally weakening America and stripping our country of its most vital resource while funneling money directly into terrorist hands.
Yeah. And there's that. Yes, last night I did talk about the oil reserve, and last year I was talking about the oil reserve, how the Biden administration, they actually depleted our oil reserve, and they're saying it's the lowest it's ever been in the history of the United States since the last war we had. So, I mean, right now we're on a thread to be involved in 3 different conflicts, and we don't have an oil reserve. We don't have an oil reserve. Right now, I believe the last article I pulled up, which was yesterday, they were saying that they are planning to buy 6 billion barrels or 6 million barrels of oil. But usually we have on stock, I think it's 750 million barrels of oil. So he has increased. They right now they have 44 billion, or we have 44 billion oil reserves, or 48 billion oil reserves. That's what it's saying. I don't know how true this is, but the reserves now has about 382 million barrels, which most of it is sour crude, which right now U.S. refineries are fitted so they can't process sour crude oil. And most of it is held nearly 720 million barrels in 2009. So we just have half of the amount that we have now. They said it's been the lowest in about 40 years. This is based off of another report, Reuters report. Okay. So that, we're actually in a spot where I don't think Kamala and Joe Biden, I really don't think they know what they're doing right now. I think they put us in this predicament. I believe if you're going to vote for somebody, you cause a problem, and then you're going to say, oh, look, I fixed this problem. Well, this problem should have never happened. So I don't know. I think it's right now we're treading on thin ice. We don't have an oil reserve, and you're funding these wars, Ukrainian war and the Iranian war. Israel's supposed to be your allies, and after they lifted that $6 billion to Iran and freed those Iranian people. Well, you paid them $6 billion to free these Iranian prisoners, which doesn't make any sense to me. You're going to give them prisoners and money. It doesn't make any sense. Then you claim, oh, we made them promise to use this for humanitarian efforts. And Iran is the supporter of Hezbollah and Hamas terrorist group. And they're not a friend to your allies, which is Israel. So you basically funded the war. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, speaking of that, the debate last night, they talked about the war a little bit, and JD Vance he actually got a zinger out because he was like, well, I don't really want to talk about,
Everybody knows the
my bad. I don't want to talk about Donald Trump record when you have a president and a vice president in the United States that pulled out of Afghanistan, and they don't even acknowledge the 13 families that were tragically lost in that debacle of a pullout. Okay. I think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I don't think they really know what they're doing, actually. I really don't think when we talking about foreign policies, I think they're clueless. And I don't know who they have in their corner to advise them. But it's like, I know someone told them, no, do not do this. Do not release that $6 billion to Iran. And 30 days later, they was attacking Israel. It doesn't make any sense. So Scott Jennings and some other unknown person was talking about the debate. I say unknown person because I really don't know this lady. They were talking about the debate, and they get on Kamala Harris. Let me share this tab. And they actually was talking about Vance's performance. And of course, this lady, she's pro Kamala Harris. And so she's saying, oh, I don't really think JD Vance pulled to the heartstrings of America. They still feel like he disrespected them because JD Vance is calling people, or was calling women, they say he called women lonely cat ladies or childless cat ladies. And basically what he said, he was basically saying, hey, you don't have any stake in the game if you haven't created children, because now what is your motivation? You said you want to, fight for your country, or, you have the country in mind, but you never had children. So you don't have a generation to say, oh, let me try harder. When you have children, you be like, oh, I gotta, work so my kids won't have to work as hard, or I just gotta lead by example and I want a better life for them. You don't have none of those motivations. Would you ever feel that way? I wouldn't say just because you didn't have kids, you don't feel like you're motivated to fight for your country. But I mean, being a mother is something different. Now, if you were to adopt, maybe you'll feel that way. I think if you actually were a mother, and it's just a different type of feeling. When you are raising a kid, a child, you want the world to be a better place. It's different stakes in the game. Not an auntie, a mom. It's different stakes. I mean, if you're a mom, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's just something different, And especially when you go through child birth. You bear a child and you birth them. It's different. Do I believe just because you birth a child, you should be president? No, I do not. And I actually believe this is maybe against a bunch of popular opinion. I don't think women should actually be president. I know that sounds wild, but I really don't think women should actually run for the job. And I'm not saying if we were in this closed bubble and it was just United States. Yes, I think because U.S. is a business. There's plenty of capable CEOs that are women. But when we're talking about a doggy dog world that other countries don't even respect women. So how you going to come to the table and negotiate? You can't. They don't respect you. So you're going to end up getting in wars for no apparent reason, because you're saying you're going to respect me. I'm the world leader. So you're going to make your soldiers go over there to make them take your phone call. That's how I feel about Kamala. I know it's very unpopular opinion, but I like I said, I think women are capable of leading. But when we talk about, we're talking about Iran, Muslim countries. So some of these countries, these are the ones that's giving us a hard time. Dictators that's giving us a hard time. And they, let alone respect a man that's American man. But women are like way down on a totem pole. So in that negotiation process, it's going to be hard for you to negotiate. You're going to have to like flex your muscles for no reason, instead of a man that could posture themselves without using excessive force. That it's just come off a respectable thing. You guys put in chat. Let me know if I'm going in the wrong direction. Anyway, so this woman, she's clearly for Kamala Harris. And they were talking about J.D. Vance in his comments, before. So he has to win back the trust or the hearts of women. He's never going to win that. I don't even know why. Why even try? Just say what's on your mind. I mean, you don't have to be sexist or anything. I didn't think he was saying sexist. I think you don't have any skin in the game if you don't have any kids. I think that's basically what he said, or what he was trying to say. So here's this exchange.
Committee chair of the New York State Democratic Committee, and Scott Jennings, CNN senior political commentator and former special assistant to President George W. Bush. No one got much sleep last night, so I appreciate you both being with us. Let me just start with what Steve just covered right there with Donald Trump's comments on abortion, saying he would veto a national ban. Jeff Zeleny was on before saying that he thought one of the things that J.D. Vance might have been trying to do was to improve his position with female voters, which actually had been quite bad. I mean, how do you think he did on that front, combined with this statement now from Donald Trump on abortion?
Well, I'm still waiting for the real J.D. Vance to get on the stage and participate in the debate. Because what we saw last night was a very sanitized J.D. Vance, and someone who on critical issues like abortion, like the transfer of power, like all of that, didn't really tell the truth and stepped away from many other things that he has said on the record, like being for a national ban against abortion. The number of positions that Vance and Trump are taking and have taken on abortion, it's head spinning. And when someone is inconsistent on a critical values issue like that, you can't believe them. And they're just pivoting to try to, and I agree with you, get women in that case.
Well, do you think, it sounds like maybe you think he was successful in it if he muddied the waters?
I don't think so. I think the American women are too smart. They know what his position really is. And notwithstanding he tried to change it, I don't think he fooled anyone.
So just to make...
before Scott Jennings chime in, I think she's incorrect. I think liberals in the media made abortion an issue. People used to be ashamed. You got pregnant, you got shipped off. You had the baby. Somebody in the neighborhood, auntie or uncle, took your baby so you wouldn't be shamed that you had a baby out of wedlock. Now you're trying to say, oh, it's empowering to have an abortion. And I'm not saying, hey, don't get an abortion. I definitely believe in pro-life. I'm not trying to shame anybody because they received the abortion, but why are you making an issue? This is not a value issue. This is not values. How can you equate abortion with the value? Oh, it's my value to get an abortion. It's my right. Really? And we use the word reproductive health. Well, you're talking about health. Health. That means life, right? If you're not healthy, what's the alternative to not being healthy? You're sickly. Having a child or being impregnated, does that make you sickly? No. Most people that get pregnant, they end up getting some extra oomph, more production. Their skin start to glow, their hair start to grow, and all this miraculous things happens when you end up getting pregnant. But the liberals are making like, oh, this is such a strong issue. They made it a damn strong issue. 20 years ago, you wouldn't dare utter saying, oh, I got an abortion. They're trying to make abortion popular. It's disgusting. It's not a thing. And half of this woman can't even fucking get pregnant. Excuse my language. And you're trying to act like, oh, I believe in reproductive rights. You can't even get pregnant. You probably passed that stage of getting pregnant. Stop it. And you're trying to say, oh, for my children. So you don't want your children to have babies? Reproductive health means abortion. Does that make any sense, you guys? I could say reproductive health, and then you say access to health care, but you bring abortion in it. No, access to health care means, hey, I am pregnant and I get the right, correct amount of treatment to get, the vitamins and the nutrients that I need to have a healthy baby. And during the abortion, the debate last night, they brought up, and they spent a long time on this abortion issue, which is really ridiculous. And then this woman is saying, oh, Trump is flip-flopping on the abortion. No, he's not. I mean, I know he said, hey, he ended the federal abortion with federal and took it to the states. So we probably, when he first in 2016, it really wasn't an issue, but he ended up achieving that they turned over Roe versus Wade. They overturned that. So we probably didn't know, oh, he was pretty pro-life, but with exceptions. And liberals, conservatives were actually mad at Trump for coming out about that. Yeah, I believe in some type of exceptions to the rule. I don't believe in a complete abortion ban, but nobody believes in that. If you were molested or, all those other things, assaulted, nobody believes you should be a bear a child. I know that part should be hard. But we act as if children is not a gift from God. Like abortion is like a necessity. It's really like a necessity. You have all these other contraceptives before abortion. It doesn't make any sense.
Make sure I understand correctly. If a candidate for president or vice president changes a position on a critical issue or a critical values matter, even one position, this calls into question for you their fitness to serve. Because let me introduce you to Kamala Harris, who has changed every single position she took when she ran for president in 2020. Although 2019, I want to be fair to 2020, which she didn't make it to. Look,
it doesn't mean that, but when you won't admit
you just said it did.
No, then let me add something. When you won't admit you're changing. Kamala Harris has admitted she's changed the position, and there is nothing wrong with getting more info and changing a position. I think it's actually a strength
Wait, what
in a
info?
candidate. But Vance is trying to pretend, as is Trump, that he always had a position against a national abortion ban, and that is not true. Change, converts are often your best supporters, but that's not what's happening.
On abortion, I thought J.D. Vance had a stellar moment. I thought he talked about it with compassion. And I thought he, and Trump too, has laid out a very moderate position. And it's a position that's not dissimilar to what the party has had going back to Ronald Reagan. There for some limits, reasonable limits. They are for rape, incest, and life of the mother exceptions. They are supporters of IVF. The Democrats have totally lied about what they want to do on IVF and other issues. The issue here is that Democrats, through Walz last night, could not articulate a single limit that they would be for. And Walz also did not tell the truth about his record on this as governor of Minnesota. I thought Vance had a great moment on that, and I don't know how many women voters are going to rally. I mean, VP debates typically don't move polling needles as much as presidential debates, but I thought JD did a terrific job.
I wonder how much Donald Trump likes or dislikes people like you pointing out how great J.D. Vance did in comparison to him. It's a serious question. Do you think he can? Because I don't know if he's going to take it the next few days.
Here's why he should love it. Because since he picked Vance, he has been pilloried by the political media for making a terrible choice, while Harris has been lauded for making some supposed inspired choice. And J.D. Vance drug Walz around the stage last night. It must have made the head coach, Trump, feel good that he was vindicated and validated on his choice.
We'll see. Quick answer on that?
First of all, that is not what happened in the debate. I will say I think Vance did well, but there was no knockdown, honestly, on either side. And let's just sum up the abortion issue. We believe women. We believe doctors. That's what Governor Walz said, and that's where the Democratic Party stands, and it's very different.
I don't believe no damn doctors. I mean, you could tell me, hey, I tell you my physical ailment, you inspect my physical ailment, give me a diagnosis and then a prognosis, whatever comes first. But no, you acting like, oh, we believe doctors in a woman. What if the doctor was a man? Like, come on now. Come on, man. It doesn't take one person to make a baby. It takes two people. And then after you had a baby, if you ain't with the man, you want to say, oh, I want some child support. Well, you didn't want my input before. Why you want my input now? You see where I'm getting at? It takes two people to do it. And then you just saying my body, my choice. Then the baby come, you be like, oh, we in this together. Well, I thought you said you didn't want my input. Now all of a sudden you want my input? After you decided to keep the baby? It doesn't make sense. You can't have it both ways. This is what feminism gets you. A bunch of confused women that trying to do it on their own, or to be the man and a woman, which you can't. You're not what is it? You know how they have seahorses could change their sex to impregnate the other to keep their population growing. We're not seahorses. We're not that. It takes two people. So two people to get you pregnant, two people to go through the pregnancy. Hopefully you have somebody, and then two people to raise the child. Because if you don't have two people, you get crazy people. You get stuff that we got now. Let me show you what you get when you don't have two people, a man and a woman raising your babe, a child. You get confused people. Let me just share this post with you. I came across this a long time ago. And this dude just got elected. I think it was city council or something like that. He got elected to city council, and somebody described him as demure. Well, he's not a woman. Why would you even use the word demure with this guy? Let me see if I can find it. I could have swore I posted it up on my profile. While this is playing, I'm gonna find it. Let me just start this back up.
The exceptions you mentioned are not what the states are doing. The states are doing, with Republican leadership, full no rape, no incest, and women because of that are dying in emergency rooms.
I want to talk quickly about the issue of communication, because Donald Trump was asked, and I think it was by Elena Treen yesterday before this debate, about his policy toward Iran and responding to Iranian attacks. There was a missile attack on a U.S. base by Iran when he was president. Listen to this exchange.
Do you believe that you should have been tougher on Iran after they had launched ballistic missiles in 2020 on U.S. forces in Iraq, leaving more than 100 U.S. soldiers injured?
So, first of all, injured. What does injured mean? Injured means you mean because they had a headache, because the bombs never hit the fort. So just so you understand, there was nobody ever tougher in Iraq.
Right. He meant Iran, I think. But what did you think of that response, Christine?
It seems like a classic response from someone who never went into battle. To say they have a headache after they had been bombed seems the height of insensitivity, but it's yet again Donald Trump trying to get away from actually answering yes or no on a substantive issue.
Iran answer last night, and the Middle East answer was the first question. Tim Walz did a horrific job on it last night, clearly out of his depth on it. And I'm not going to take any criticism on Trump from a party and from a vice president that sent 13 soldiers to die in Afghanistan and has never given them the time of day.
All right, Scott, Christine, thank you both very much. Appreciate you both being here.
Getting a business loan has never been easier.
Yeah, he had a point. Why spend any time on talking about that? And, you know, you don't respect the people that put their lives on the line because of the debacle of Afghanistan. It doesn't make any sense. Why even go back and forth with somebody that don't even know what the hell they're talking about? Let me just share this other exchange. Now, this is Keith Boykin and Donald's going back and forth about the statistics.
And I wish at some point, Congressman,
American carnage as voting gets underway across the country. And is he getting policy ideas from a B-list Hollywood movie? Well, that's because what he is saying sounds like it was ripped from the pages of The Purge. It's a movie franchise, but here it is.
Business, right? They don't pay rent. The city doesn't have the whole. It's a chain of events. It's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately.
One day of whatever you want, I guess. It is a literal movie plot, but real life policy?
Well, it's not policy. And this is red meat for the base, because they don't ask questions about, well, how would you do this and how would this work? It's just red meat, and I think it works for the base. But it reminded me of The Purge first, and then it reminded me more of The Hunger Games, where the ruling class puts a bunch of people together every year and says, you guys kill each other, to show control and instill fear in an electorate, in the citizenry, if we're comparing movies. But this is real life. And this is the kind of thing that turns off the people he needs to win. People in swing states who are undecided, who want to hear policy solutions, not stuff like this.
I mean, but in all seriousness, Congressman, I mean, is he suggesting that cops can do whatever they want for a day and that will actually solve the problem?
No, he's not. And even the clip you just played, what's it, 5 seconds out of, for Donald Trump, an hour speech? I think a lot of times people say, oh, well, he said this. For 5 seconds, yes, he says things that are unscripted. He goes off the cuff. He's not serious. There's no policy behind that. But I think where the American people truly are is they at least want to hear what somebody is thinking full-throated versus Kamala Harris, who is completely scripted, like badly scripted.
I guess I wonder,
and there's nothing coming out of her.
Anyone with $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans may qualify for help from National Debt Relief. Getting
policy then? If it's not that, then what is actually the solution?
He wants to make sure that police are supported so they're upholding the law. In every city in our country, I was in Duane Reade last night here in New York, just trying to get razor blades so I can get a fresh shave for today. I had to press the button for the attendant to come to open up the case just so I can get a pack of razor blades. That's what's going on in every major city of America. Americans are fed up with that kind of stuff. It happens because you do have a dereliction of support for law enforcement in too many cities in America. And so there's a major angst going on amongst the American people. Donald Trump said a comment for 5 seconds. That's not setting policy. That's revealing the angst of the American people.
Donald Trump has a history of saying inflammatory things. It's not just those 5 seconds, Congressman, and you know that. He has a history that goes back from the time when he first ran for office, and he's talked about telling people in his rallies to knock the crap out of him. He had a history, even when I was working here at CNN, he was telling people how CNN is the enemy of the people. And you know what? A guy named Caesar Sayak sent pipe bombs to the...
CNN is the enemy of the people. You are spreading propaganda. You know, you're talking about Donald Trump rhetoric, but this guy has suffered the attempt of 2 assassination attempts, and 1 bullet actually struck him. If he didn't turn his head, he'll be dead. So what are you talking about?
This building, or not to the other building that CNN used to be in, and tried to kill people. Donald Trump says things that get people hurt. When he talked about liberating Michigan, what happened? Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, they tried to kidnap her. There's a plot to try to kidnap her. Every time he says something that's just 5 seconds, inflammatory statements like that. What happened when we have January 6th? It's because Donald Trump opened his big mouth and wouldn't shut up. And I wish at some point, Congressman, you would at least have the courage to stand up to your dear leader and tell him when he's doing wrong.
Are we going to talk
about?
Apologize for him. Now about the rhetoric
Don't just apologize for him.
Are we going to talk about the rhetoric directed at Donald Trump? Because we do realize that he's been trying to kill.
Are you going to continue to try not to answer the question? So you're not going to answer what I just said?
Hang on 1 second. Let's talk about that. Let's actually talk about rhetoric, because here's what Trump supporters have been saying.
People hear this violent, dangerous rhetoric, and we're going to have a copycat. It's coming. And it's just unfortunate. Somebody's going to get killed.
I'd say that's pretty strong evidence that the left needs to tone down the rhetoric and needs to cut this crap out. Somebody's going to get hurt by it.
It works when we see the liberal elite literally trying to take out a political opponent. Now, do they cause it? Absolutely, they contribute to it. They're complicit with it because of their words.
So, according to those gentlemen there, saying that Trump is a threat to democracy is violent rhetoric, but Trump saying, let's just have one really violent day, that is not violent rhetoric?
No, he didn't say one violent day. That's not even what he said. Well, let's be honest about what he actually said.
Can we play Trump again?
Play it again, because he didn't even say that. But go ahead.
Can we play it again?
I want to hear it.
All these stores go out of business, right? They don't pay rent. The city doesn't have money. It's a chain of events. It's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately.
How is is that not violent rhetoric?
We have to acknowledge the reality going on in every city in America.
Not answering the
Crime
question.
is
Not answering the question.
That is answering the question.
How
Because
is
the
it-
reality in America, hold on, Keith, the reality in America is that crime is massively up.
Crime is not massively
Yes,
up.
it
That's
is.
a
You
lie.
can bang the table
Crime-
all you want, but
You're
that's not
lying,
true.
Congressman. You're lying.
We already
The
know
FBI
that there are
The
cities-
FBI just released data this week that crime is going down.
We already know that.
Oh my God! Why do you,
Congressman,
Abby? Why do you let this man lie on your national
I'm
national
not
television
lying.
like
I'm telling
this?
you the
This
exact
is
truth.
not right.
You may not.
You're a
want-
liar,
You may not.
Congressman.
No, I'm
You're
not.
lying.
Because you're lying to the American people
If
now.
you would let
And
me
so I want to be
talk,
respectful of what you're
Congressman,
trying to say.
Hang on a second.
Go
If
ahead.
you would just let me
Go ahead.
talk, I will explain exactly what you want me to explain. We have the data. The FBI literally put out data today showing that crime is down this year for the first 6 months of the year. But look at the trend line. Okay, crime is down in all these different categories, and then there is a trend line that shows that crime is going down. So why do you continue to say that?
I do think, though, in some
I'll let you get in, but I do want the congressman to answer that question.
If you look at crime rates in the United States since the pandemic to this current point, this current period in time, crime is up.
Okay,
over the
chart. We're
years,
gonna put it
crime
up.
is up.
Congressman,
Violent crime is
look
up.
at the chart.
I'm looking right now.
Okay?
I'm looking right now.
Crime is on its way down. It has not returned to pre-pandemic levels yet, but it is trending down. That is a fact.
I'm looking at your chart right now. 2021 is when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came into office. Look at that spike up in violent crime. Well, Donald Trump.
Do you see
Abby, but
do
this
you
is
see where it went after
Abby,
2021?
Abby, this is important. This is important. But
I don't understand why you're
this
doing
is
that.
really
You're-
important.
no,
If
Crime
you
is,
want-
crime is going down. And
Put the chart back up. Put the chart back up.
Put it back up. Crime.
Look at
where it's going.
2021,
Look,
which is when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came into office in 2021.
Okay.
The
You know
trend
what?
line is up for violent crime in the United States of America.
And you know what?
That is
Hang
an
on.
empirical
Hang
fact.
on. I'm not gonna sit
That's
here
your
and let
chart.
this
It's not even
man-
mine. I
let
just
this
saw it
man
for the first
lie
time.
all night on
I just saw the
television.
chart.
I'm not going to sit here and let him lie on that
But I
on television.
want to.
No. Wait one second, because we
This is
have
silly.
to hold on.
It's not silly when people.
We have
when
to,
stores,
Congressman,
and I'm sorry,
just give me
and I'm
one
sorry,
second,
Abby.
please.
Go ahead. Of course.
We have to
Absolutely.
deal in facts here.
Thank you.
Okay, it's clear as day. The FBI put out statistics for the first half of this year.
Yeah.
The numbers, the trend lines are going down in all of those different categories: murders, rapes, robberies, property crime, aggravated assaults. For 2023, the trend line is going down. If you don't believe the FBI, independent people who look at these numbers say the same thing. There was a spike in crime during the pandemic. That is true. Nobody's disputing that. But the reality is that crime is going down. You don't have to twist the facts to make the case that people feel unsafe. Just say people feel unsafe.
I'm not even twisting the facts. You put up a chart. I just looked at the chart myself. The bottom line was from 2021. Well, what happened in 2021? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came into office. This is when Democrat politicians were all the rage for defund the police.
This had nothing to do with that.
Can I finish my point? Because
This is the problem. They don't know trend lines. They don't know. When you actually draw the trend line, let me see if I could draw it on here. Draw the trend line. This is what Byron Donalds is saying. The trends are going up. Even if you have the spikes and up and down, if you draw the trend line, the trend is up. That's with any type of empirical data. I think that's the problem they're having. They're trying to draw the trend line from one year to the next year. That's not a trend line. Byron Donalds is talking about year over year. So if you actually draw the actual trend line, it is going up. And I believe the FBI is not reporting the crimes of immigration. We already know that report came out. We already know 1 million, close to 900,000 illegal immigrants that's over here in the United States have committed a crime. Is that included in the data? We don't know. Probably not. They don't want to include that in the data. Some people are saying Los Angeles wasn't reported, but I guess there was a community note on X saying no, Los Angeles was included their numbers in some other larger city. I would like to see the numbers. Okay, we could say the crime is going down 42%, But if it was high as hell, well, it's still up. It's still up. Even though it was abnormally up during period of 2023, it's still up. It's not at normal levels.
I let you speak. No, but you can't.
You really did not. You monopolized the
because
entire conversation for the most part.
Keith, you yelled across the table, didn't even let me
because
make
you
my
lied.
point. I'm not lying. I'm telling you the truth. You don't want.
Keith Boykin has panties. Good lie. Stop it. A minute. And Byron Donald says, you banging on the table. What's you banging on the table for? You about to do something?
Want to hear the truth?
right.
That's the problem. The
Let me
truth is,
let you
the
finish
problem is you don't want to hear the
Let me
truth.
let you finish your thought,
All I'm saying is similar.
I don't even know why you have him on the stage tonight.
Similar to inflation, because I'm bringing facts to you.
Because you're lying.
Because similar to inflation, in 2024, the trend lines are coming down slowly. But that ignores the reality of 2021, 2022, 2023. You know what the American people are concerned about, which Donald Trump is speaking to? Massive inflation brought to us by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
True.
It is very
Not
true.
true.
Even Larry Summers said, you can interrupt all you want, but it's the facts. I was.
Keith Boykin, you know what, this guy, I don't know where he lives at, but you're saying people are not worried about the prices? Like, come on now, this is the thing that everybody's talking about. This is going to decide the election. People are worried about their economic dollar, or the dollar, their dollar power, their buying power. And we have less buying power because of the inflation. So you're saying people are not worried about that. Where does he live at? Like, he lives in his bubble? Oh, my God.
In the House, you were not. I know exactly what happened.
I know what you were doing in the House,
But again, I'm going to move on. Hang tight, Keith. I'm going to finish. You have massive inflation created by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
True.
The same chart you just put up, 2021 through 2023, crime rates going up, and then slowly tapering off in 2024. And then we're supposed to sit here and act like, oh, happy days are here again because the trend lines are going down. The trend lines over the last 4 years are massively up. That's what Donald Trump is speaking to, and that's why the American people have serious issues about what's going on in America.
But I will say this, the trend lines are not just going down, but the crime is going back to very close to what it was before the pandemic.
And Abby's being disingenuous. She has to, keep her job. She has to keep her job so she won't get fired. There was I wanted to share with you this one part of the debate before I get off, you guys. I thought it was classic. This was classic. And if you didn't watch the debate, this is when Tim Walz actually started putting he tried to come off as diplomatic and, hey, I'm just a person that could get along with everybody. Clearly, that's not his MO. I think you could see him that he clearly was losing, and he knew this at this point when CBS called him out. They called him out on him lying about being in China. Okay. This was very painful for this was very painful for Tim Walz.
Until August of that year.
Hold on for a second.
Can you explain that discrepancy? You said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy? You have 2 minutes.
Well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then I used the GI Bill to become a teacher, passionate about it, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress for 12 years. And in Congress, I was one of the most bipartisan people, working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans benefits. And then the people of Minnesota were able to elect me to governor twice. So look, my commitment has been from the beginning to make sure that I'm there for the people, to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything, many times I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID. And I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community. And then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Okay. So were you there or were you not there? You're sticking to this lie. You said sometime I misspoke. You started off like Kamala. I was born in the Midwest and raised on the farm, and we walked to school 2 miles, and they elected me to Congress. I joined the reserve at 17. No, were you in China, dude, during this protest? And they found out that was a lie. Okay, that was a lie. You're a liar. He's a liar. Anyway, that will forever live in my brain. I thought it was hilarious. You guys, I really appreciate every single last one of you. Let me just get to some of your comments. Justin Thompson, is Brittany Griner a seahorse? Maybe so. Griner horse. Ultra 80, you want to keep me out of your bedroom. Keep my tax dollars out of your bedroom. Exactly. They keep all the do-rags behind the counter too. Right. Amari, I think Keith Boykin, I think he is gay. I think he is. Anger mismanagement marks his bootlickers always lose it. Celeste Hodges, bald guy sounds like a toddler throwing a fit. Yeah, why are you banging on the table? Doesn't make sense. Lexi says, yeah, as if American public believes the fake FBI numbers. They're full of crap. Prince Majestic is saying Keith Boykins is very feminine. and does not include major cities. Abby is lying. Celeste is saying we have Cubans in our little town stealing diesel fuel from oil fields. Like, what the hell? Like, it's like really retarded. They stealing stupid stuff. Kennard the DJ, he was in the Salvation Army with his jive ass. He said dancers. He took some strippers out there. Or no, I think it was some type of dance committee. You know, like some, you know, at like a community based dance troupe. I think that's what he was talking about, but I'm not for sure. I don't know. I really don't know. Don't give me the line. Donald is said, what about China? Where were you there or not? Like, answer the damn question. Were you there in China during those times? They said the protests happened in August, but you didn't, or was it in March? Vice versa. The protests happened in March. You said you didn't get there, and come to find out, you didn't get there till August. So why are you lying? And then you go back to say, oh, she asked the question again, and you say, I was there in China and I learned a lot. No, that you didn't answer the question. I don't understand why it's so hard for Dems to point out how every piece of even mildly populist economic legislation always unanimously opposed by Republicans in Congress, and it's just absurd to them to pretend they'll do anything for the poor and working class because they're fake. Tim misspeaks a lot. Yeah, he's just like Kamala. Kamala, I guess you could say all lies Kamala told is misspoken lies. Okay, so yeah, you guys, I really appreciate every single last one of you. Tomorrow, I'm gonna come on a little bit late because I have a meeting scheduled tomorrow. So I'm gonna try to get on around 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. So Eastern Standard Time. So if you're around, just tune in for that. I won't be able to go live during the day. Okay, so I really appreciate every single last one of you guys. I'm sending all my good to you, and I will talk to you tomorrow.